Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. So, DC's been in a bit of a death spiral here in 2020. They've had declining sales, which got even worse with the pandemic, and they've been firing staff, mostly their experienced upper level staff that had high salaries, and it looks like the bloodletting isn't over yet. Bleeding Cool posted this story yesterday, telling us that there are more DC staff getting the boot in the coming weeks. And these employees didn't even know they were getting fired until the solicitations for new comics were released to comic shops, because DC is in such a state of chaos right now. The people who were responsible for telling employees they were getting fired had already been fired. This means a lot of DC freelancers in particular are getting the boot, and they found out, well, they found out the hard way, an embarrassing way. Yikes. So let's just take a look at this article here. So, Bleeding Cool understands that this month a number of DC Comics writers and artists realize that their upcoming work for DC Comics may not be quite as upcoming as they thought. They discovered this in some cases by reading the DC Comics solicitations for March 2021. The reduction in the number of titles, as well as contracts being previously signed with creators who were meant to be working on the 5G line, which has been canceled pretty much, have meant that a number of creators without such contracts have been jettisoned from their titles. And with editorial numbers being decimated over the last year, it seems that whoever was meant to inform such creators of the change in upcoming work may not have told everyone. Cue a number of phone calls, email threads, and even an occasional WhatsApp shout out with longtime DC creators looking for work, with a flurry of editors at Marvel, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, Dynamite, and the like receiving, "Hey, I'm available" messages, expecting to see a few creators who are all but only known for their work at DC popping up in solicitations in months to come. So it doesn't help that DC has created more anthology titles and titles with backup strips. The number of titles and total page count work being created has dropped dramatically. In March of this year, DC Comics solicited 62 new items, totaling 2,632 pages, costing $281, made up of 49,399 and 9,499 titles. In December, DC Comics was soliciting 52 items, totaling 2,352 pages. In March 21, DC Comics soliciting 39 items, totaling 1,896 pages. So almost a 50% reduction in the number of titles. While other publishers have also seen reductions, DC title numbers have dropped by over a third in a year, and the $4.99 price point has jumped. And those creating that art have to find elsewhere to go. So, yeah, I mean, as you can see, DC is just a dumpster fire right now. AT&T is shedding personnel and cutting costs to reduce the amount of money they're losing. And part of that seems to be employing the absolute minimum of personnel at the absolute minimum of cost. That means inexperienced, minimally talented people making the comics going forward. So don't expect DC Comics to get any better in 2021. Now, they do still have a few talented people like, James Tynion is still going to be around, but the standard for DC and probably the whole comics business in general is going to be lower quality at higher cost. Think more young adult crap like I'm Not Starfire, which nobody wants. Think Mariko Tamaki on Detective Comics. Think higher price points for more left-wing political pamphlets full of crap you don't want. Their lineup of titles is getting cut down to 34 books, and about a third of those are going to be Batman titles. The rest are going to be, there's like 3 Superman books, 2 Wonder Woman books, Flash, Green Lantern, Teen Titans, Justice League, Suicide Squad, Swamp Thing, and the rest are just going to be, I think, just various limited series, and that is about it. Never mind how many of these books will actually be by Brian Michael Bendis or Mariko Tamaki and others who want to emphasize wokeness over lack of storytelling and lack of action that engages the reader. Their insistence that DC and other comic publishers have on pushing wokeness in their titles it's really starting to look like a negative feedback loop. The more they push it, the worse the sales get, and the more people get fired, but they just keep on pushing it anyway. So how bad is it going to get? I don't know. Some people like EVS are suggesting that DC will stop publishing paper comics altogether by the end of 2021, perhaps going all digital. And at this point, I really can't say he's wrong. To me, digital just seems like the beginning of the end because the comics business is very much driven by collecting, by collectors, and publishing digitally just doesn't seem conducive to collecting. Another possibility is that AT&T will license their characters out to other comic publishers like IDW or Boom or Dark Horse or something. There was a story about Random House publishing DC graphic novels a couple of weeks ago, so that's one thing we can watch out for. But it seems like digital is what they'll emphasize going forward. They signaled this when they made Marie Javins, who was the head of their digital publishing arm, their editor-in-chief of their publishing line their entire line back in November. Digital comics aren't physical. They can be copied indefinitely, and they're just not going to be worth much, which I think will lead to a big drop in interest for comics in general, which, I don't know, it may be just fatal for the industry. I would compare it to vinyl records. Records still get made, they still exist, but how many people actually buy vinyl albums anymore? It caters to a small niche audience of collectors, and people aren't collecting digital downloads of music. I mean, what's the point? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you found this video informative, please do hit the like button, and also please sub to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.